Welcome to the second Zoom production of the Palm Beach Shores Players. We're a group of amateur theater buffs gathered together to entertain ourselves and hopefully you during the pandemic. This production is based on the award-winning movie 12 Angry Men by Reginald Rose. This 1954 courtroom drama is a challenge for us. We chose it because it's thought-provoking and relevant to our times. Let me introduce our cast. The judge is Jerry Cohn. The guard is Kathleen McGarren. The foreman is Robert Halkett. The juror number 2 is Gina DuPonce. Juror number 3, Brian Tyler. Juror number 4 is Marcia Cohn. Juror number 5 is Mark Ward. Juror number 6, Roby Durrell. Juror number 7, Bob Stanton. Juror number 8, Myra Kutzi, myself. Juror number 9, Ben Falchino. Juror number 10, Art Pumpian. Juror 11, Lubia Horditza. Juror number 12, Jim Homburger. The play is in 3 short acts, each recorded separately. It runs under an hour. We hope you enjoy the performance and reflect on its important themes. And now, Act 1 of the Palm Beach Shores Players version of 12 Angry Men.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, murder in the first degree, premeditated homicide, is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. You've heard a long and complex case, ladies and gentlemen, and it is now your duty to sit down and try to separate the facts from the fancy. One man is dead. The life of another is at stake. If there's a reasonable doubt in your minds as to the guilt of the accused, then you must declare him not guilty. If, however, there's no reasonable doubt, then he must be found guilty. Whichever way you decide, the verdict must be unanimous. I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. You are faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
The jury will retire. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, jurors, everyone is here. If there's anything you want, I'm right outside. Just knock.
You know something? It's hot. You'd think they'd at least air condition the joint.
I never knew that they locked the door.
Sure, they locked the door. What did you think?
I don't know. It never occurred to me.
6 days. They should have finished it in 2. Talk, talk, talk. Did you ever hear so much about nothing?
Well, I guess they're entitled.
Everybody gets a fair trial. That's the system. Well, I suppose you can't say anything against it.
How'd you all like that business about the knife? Did you ever hear a phonier story?
Well, look, you got to expect that. You know what you're dealing with those people.
Yeah, I suppose. What's the matter? You got a cold?
Yeah, Lulu. These hot weather colds can kill you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, come on, let's take our seats.
Right, this better be fast. I got tickets to Hamilton tonight. I must be the only guy in the whole world who hasn't seen it yet. Okay, Your Honor, start the show.
It's tough to figure, isn't it? A kid kills his father. Bing! Just like that. Well, it's that element. They let the kids run wild. Maybe it serves them right.
Is everybody here? We'd like to get this thing started. All right. Now, we can handle this any way you'd like. I mean, I'm not going to make any rules. If you want to discuss it first and then vote, that's one way. Or we can vote right now to see how we stand.
Let's vote now. Who knows? Maybe we can all go home.
Yeah, let's see who's where.
Right, let's vote now.
Anybody doesn't want to vote? Okay. All those voting guilty, raise your hands. 3, 4, 7, 10, and 12. 2, 5, 6, and 11. And 9. Okay, that's 11 for guilty. Not guilty, number 8, 1. Okay, 11-1 guilty. Now we know where we are.
Somebody's in left field. Hey, cat lady, number 8, you with the pin. You think he's not guilty?
I don't know.
I never saw a guiltier man in my life. You sat right in court and heard the same thing I did. The man's a dangerous killer. You could see it.
He's only 19 years old.
That's old enough. He knifed his own father 4 inches into the chest. An innocent little 19-year-old kid. They proved it a dozen different ways. Do you want me to list them?
No.
Well, do you believe his story?
I don't know whether I believe it or not. Maybe I don't.
So what'd you vote not guilty for?
There were 11 votes for guilty. It's not so easy for me to raise my hand and send a boy off to die without talking about it first.
Who says it's easy for me?
No one.
What, just because I voted fast? I think the guy's guilty. You couldn't change my mind if you talked for 100 years.
I don't want to change your mind. I just want to talk about it for a while. Look, this boy's been kicked around all his life. You know, living in a slum, his mother's dead since he was 9. That's not a very good head start. He's a tough, angry kid. You know why slum kids get that way? Because we knock them on the head once a day, every day. I think maybe we owe him a few words. That's all.
I don't mind telling you this, sister. We don't owe him a thing. He got a fair trial, didn't he? You know what that trial cost? He's lucky he got it. Look, we're all grown-ups here. You're not going to tell us we're supposed to believe him, knowing what he is. I've lived among them all my life. You can't believe a word they say. You know that.
I don't know that. What a terrible thing for a man to believe. Since when is dishonesty a group characteristic? You have no monopoly on the truth.
All right, it's not Sunday. We don't need a sermon.
What this man says is very dangerous.
I don't see any need for arguing like this. I think we need to behave with civility.
Right.
If we're going to discuss the case, let's discuss the facts.
I think that's a good point. We have a job to do here, so let's just do it.
I may have an idea here. I'm just thinking out loud now, but it seems to me that it's up to us to convince this lady that we're right and she's wrong. Maybe if we each took a minute or two, if we try it on for size.
That sounds fair enough. Supposing we go once round the table.
Okay, let's start it off.
Right, juror number 2. I guess you're first.
Oh, well, I just think he's guilty. I thought it was obvious. I mean, nobody proved otherwise.
Nobody has to prove otherwise. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. The defendant doesn't have to open his mouth. That's in the Constitution, the Fifth Amendment. You've heard of it.
Well, sure, I heard of it. I know what it is. What I meant, well, anyway, I think he was guilty.
Okay, let's get to the facts. First of all, let's take the old man who lived on the 2nd floor, right underneath the room where the murder took place. At 10 minutes after 12 on the night of the killing, he heard loud noises in the upstairs apartment. He said it sounded like a fight. Then he heard the kid say to his father, "I'm going to kill you." A second later, he heard the body falling and ran to the door of his apartment, looked out, and saw the kid running down the stairs and out of the house. Then he called the police. They found the father with a knife in his chest.
And the coroner fixed the time of death at around midnight.
Right. Now, what else do you want?
The boy's entire story is flimsy. He claimed he was at the movies. That's a little ridiculous, isn't it? He couldn't even remember what films he saw.
That's right. Do y'all hear that? You're absolutely right.
Look, what about the woman across the street? If her testimony don't prove it, then nothing does.
That's right. She saw the killing, didn't she?
Okay, let's go in order.
Just a minute. Here's a woman who's lying in bed and can't sleep. It's hot, you know. Anyway, she looks out the window, and right across the street, she sees the kid stick the knife into his father. She'd known the kid all his life. His window was right opposite hers, across the elevated train tracks, and she swore she saw him do it.
Through the windows of an elevated train.
Okay, and they proved in court that you can look through the windows of a passing train at night and see what's happening on the other side. They proved it.
I'd like to ask you something. How come we believed her? She's one of them too, isn't she?
You think you're pretty smart, don't you?
Now take it easy.
Come on, sit down. There you go. What are you letting her get all upset for? Relax.
Let's just calm down now. Juror number 5, it's your turn.
I'll pass.
That's your privilege. Juror number 6, how about you?
I don't know. I started to be convinced, with the testimony from those people across the hall. Didn't they say something about an argument between the father and the boy around 7 o'clock that night? I mean, I can be wrong.
I think it was 8 o'clock, not 7.
That's right, 8 o'clock. They heard the father hit the boy twice and then saw the boy walk angrily out of the house. Now, what does that prove?
Well, it doesn't prove exactly anything. It's just part of the picture. I didn't say it proved anything.
Anything else?
No.
All right, juror number 7, how about you?
I don't know. Most of it's been said already. We can talk all day about this thing, but I think we're wasting our time. Look at the kid's record. At 15, he was in reform school. He stole a car. He's been arrested for mugging. He was picked up for knife fighting. I think they said he stabbed somebody in the arm. That's a very fine boy.
Ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him up regularly, and he used his fists.
So would I, a kid like that.
You're right. It's the kids. The way they are, they don't listen. I've got a kid. When he was 8 years old, he ran away from a fight. I saw him. I was so ashamed. I told him right out, I'm going to make a man out of you, or I'm going to bust you up into little pieces trying. When he was 15, he hit me in the face. He's big, I haven't seen him in 3 years, rotten kid. You work your heart out. All right, let's get on with it.
We're missing the point here. This boy, let's say he's a product of a filthy neighborhood and a broken home. We can't help that. We're not here to go into the reasons why slums are breeding grounds for criminals. They are. I know it, and so do you. The children who come out of slum backgrounds are potential menaces to society.
You said it there, sister. I don't want any part of them. Believe me.
I've lived in a slum all my life.
Oh, now wait a second.
I used to play backyard that was filled with garbage. Maybe it still smells on me.
Now let's be reasonable. There's no need to get personal.
It sounded pretty reasonable, personal to me.
Come on now. He didn't mean you, feller. Let's not be so sensitive.
I can understand the sensitivity.
Now let's stop the bickering. We're wasting time, Mom. Juror number 8, it's your turn.
All right. I had a peculiar feeling about this trial. Somehow, I felt that the defense counsel never really conducted a thorough examination. I mean, he was appointed by the court to defend the boy, but he hardly seemed interested. Too many questions were left unasked.
What about the ones that were asked? For instance, let's talk about the cute little switchblade. The one that fine, upright kid admitted to buying?
All right, let's talk about it. Let's get it in here and look at it. I'd like to see it again, please, Mr. Foreman.
Guard, we'd like to see the switchblade in evidence, please.
We all know what it looks like. I don't see why you have to look at it again. What do you all think?
The gentleman has a right to see the exhibits in evidence.
All right with me.
Number 8, this knife is a pretty strong piece of evidence. Don't you agree?
I do.
The boy admits going out of his house at 8 o'clock after being slapped by his father.
Or punched.
He went to a neighborhood store and bought a switchblade. The storekeeper was arrested the following day when he admitted selling it to the boy. It's a very unusual knife. The storekeeper identified it and said it was the only one of his kind he had in stock. Why did the boy get it? As a present for a friend of his, he says. Am I right so far?
Right.
You bet she's right. Now listen to this lady. She knows what she's talking about.
Next, the boy claims that on the way home, the knife must have fallen through a hole in his coat pocket, and he never saw it again. Now, there's a story, ladies and gentlemen. You know what actually happened. The boy took the knife home and a few hours later stabbed his father with it and even remembered to wipe off the fingerprints.
You wanted to see this?
Thank you.
May I have that, please? Thank you. Now, everyone connected with the case identified this knife. Are you trying to tell me that someone picked it up off the street and went to the boy's house and stabbed his mother with it just to be amusing?
No. I'm saying that it's possible that the boy lost the knife and that someone else stabbed his father with a similar knife. It's possible.
Perhaps, but take a look at this knife. It's a very strange knife. I've never seen one like it before in my life, and neither had the storekeeper who sold it to him.
Really?
Aren't you trying to make us accept a pretty incredible coincidence here?
I'm not trying to make anyone accept it. I'm just saying it's possible.
And I'm saying it's not possible.
It's possible.
Good heavens, they're exactly alike.
What are you trying to do?
Yeah, what is this? Who do you think you are?
Look at it. It's the same knife.
Quiet. Let's be quiet.
Where did you get it?
I got this last night in a little junk shop around the corner from the boy's house. It only cost $2.
Now listen to me. You pulled a really smart trick here, but you proved absolutely zero. Maybe there are 10 knives like that. So what?
Maybe there are.
The boy lied and you know it.
He may have lied. Do you think he lied?
That's a stupid question. Sure, he lied.
Number 4, do you?
You don't have to ask me that. You know my answer. He lied.
Number 5, sir, do you think he lied?
I don't know.
Now, wait a second, lady. What are you? The guy's lawyers? Listen, you're still 11 us to think he's guilty. You're alone. What do you think you're going to accomplish? If you want to be stubborn and hang this jury, he'll be tried again and found guilty, sure as he's born.
You're probably right.
So what are you going to do about it? You going to be here all night?
It's only one night and a man may die.
Well, whose fault is that?
You think maybe if we went over it again, what I mean is...
Did anyone force him to kill his father? How do you like that bullcrap? Like someone forced him.
Perhaps this is not the point.
No one forced anyone, but listen to me for a second.
Look, gentlemen, we can all spitball all night here, or...
Well, I was going to say,
Just a minute. Some of us have got better things to do than sit around a jury room.
Is this moving us anywhere?
She's right. I think we just need to get on with it.
Well, cat lady, what do you say? You're the one holding up the show.
I've got a proposition to make. I want to call for another vote. I want the 11 of you to vote by secret ballot. I'll abstain. If there are still 11 votes for guilty, I won't stand alone. We'll take in a guilty verdict right now.
Okay, let's do it.
That sounds fair. Is everyone agreed? You've got your ballot strips right there in front of you. Guilty, 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 guilty. Not guilty.
Damn it!
Guilty.
How do you like that?
Hey, who was it? I think we have a right to know.
Excuse me, this was a secret ballot. We agreed on this point, no? If the gentleman wants it to remain secret.
What do you mean? There are no secrets in here. I know who it was. What's the matter with you, number 5? You come in here and you vote guilty, and then the sick little preacher here starts to tear your heart out with the stories about a poor little kid who just couldn't help becoming a murderer. So you change your vote. Isn't that the most sickening?
What the hell?
Now hold it. Settle down, please.
Hold it. We're trying to put a guilty man in the chair where he belongs, and all of a sudden we're paying attention to fairy tales?
Now, just a minute.
Please, I would like to say something here. I have always thought that a man was entitled to have unpopular opinions in this country. This is the reason I came here. I wanted to have the right to disagree. In my own country, I was ashamed to say that.
What do we have to listen to now? The whole history of your country?
Yeah, let's stick to the subject. Number 5, I want to ask you, what the hell made you change your vote?
There's nothing for him to tell you. He didn't change his vote. I did. Maybe you'd like to know why.
No, we don't want to know why.
The man wants to talk. Let him have his say.
Thank you. This lady chose to stand alone against us. That's her right. It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone, even if you believe in something very strongly. She left the verdict up to us. She gambled for support, and I gave it to her. I want to hear more. The vote is 10-2.
That's fine. The speech is over. Let's go on.
Look, number 5, I was a little excited. Well, you know how it is. I didn't mean to get nasty. Nothing personal.
Right.
Look, cat lady, supposing you answer me this. If the kid didn't kill him, who did?
As far as I know, we're supposed to decide whether or not this boy on trial is guilty. We're not concerned with anyone else's motives here.
Guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. This is an important thing to remember.
Everyone's a lawyer. Okay, Grandpa, supposing you explain what your reasonable doubts are.
This is not easy. So far, it's only a feeling I have. Perhaps you don't understand.
Feeling? What are we going to do? Spend the night talking about your feelings? What about the facts?
You said a mouthful. Look, Grandpa, the old man heard the kid yell, "I'm going to kill you." A second later, he heard the father's body falling, and he saw the boy running out of the house 15 seconds after that.
That's right. And let's not forget the woman across the street. She looked into the open window and saw the boy stab her father. She saw it. Now, if that's not enough for you.
It's not enough for me.
How do you like this woman? It's like talking into a dead phone.
The witness saw the killing through the windows of a moving elevated train. The train had 5 cars, and she saw it through the windows of the last 2. She remembers the most insignificant details.
Can't we get on with it here?
Well, what have you got to say about that?
I don't know. It just doesn't sound right to me.
Well, supposing you think about it. Hey, fella, number 12, lend me your pencil and paper there. What's this, the L train, huh? What about a gang of hangman? Your turn. Might as well pass the time.
Gotcha.
Hey, cut that out.
Wait a minute. Give that back, you.
This isn't a game.
Who do you think you are?
All right, let's take it easy.
I got a good mind to walk around this table and belt her one.
Now, please, I don't want any fights in here.
Just see her, the nerve, the absolute nerve.
All right, forget it.
This isn't a game. Who does she think she is?
Okay, sorry.
God damn it.
Settle down, please.
Okay, back to work. Just let's take a look at the sketch number 12 made. How long does it take an elevated train going at top speed to pass a given point?
What has that got to do with anything?
Just how long? Guess.
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
Number 5, what do you think?
About 10 or 12 seconds, maybe.
I'd say that's a fair guess. Anyone else?
I would think about 10 seconds, perhaps.
About 10 seconds.
All right, let's say 10 seconds. What are you getting at?
This. An L train passes a given point in 10 seconds. That given point is the window of the room in which the killing took place. You can almost reach out of the window of that room and touch the L, right? Okay, now let me ask you this. Did anyone ever live right next to the L tracks? I have. When your window is open and that train goes by, the noise is almost unbearable. You can't hear yourself think.
Okay, you can't hear yourself think. Will you get to the point?
The old man says he heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you." And 1 second later, he heard the body fall. 1 second. That's the testimony, right?
Right.
The woman across the street looked through the windows of the last 2 cars of the L train and saw the body fall, right? The last 2 cars.
What are you giving us here?
All right, the train takes 10 seconds to pass a given point or 2 seconds per car. That train has been going by the old man's window for at least 6 seconds and maybe more before the body fell, according to the woman. The old man would have had to hear the boy say, "I'm going to kill you," while the front of the L train was roaring past his nose. It's not possible he could have heard it.
What do you mean? Sure, he could have heard it.
Could he?
You said the boy yelled it out. That's enough for me.
I don't think he could have heard it.
Maybe he didn't hear it. I mean, with the train noise.
What are you people talking about? Are you calling the old man a liar?
Well, it stands to reason.
You're crazy. Why would he lie? What has he got to gain?
Attention, maybe.
You keep coming up with these bright sayings. Why don't you just shut up here and start a blog or something?
Number 9, why might the old man have lied, sir? You have a right to be heard.
It's just that I looked at him for a very long time. The seam of his jacket was split under the arm. Did you notice that? He was a very old man with a torn jacket. He carried 2 canes. I think I know him better than anyone else here. This is a quiet, frightened, insignificant man who's been nothing all his life. Never had recognition. His name and nobody knows him after 75 years. That's a very sad thing. A man like this needs to be recognized, to be questioned, listened to, quoted just once. Very important.
And you're trying to tell us he lied about a thing like this just so he could be important?
No, he wouldn't really lie. But perhaps he'd make himself believe that he heard those words and recognized the boy's face.
Well, that's the most fantastic story I've ever heard. How can you make up a thing like that? What do you know about it?
I speak from experience.
Let's get on with it. All right, juror number 8. Is there anything else?
Yes, there's something else I'd like to point out here. I think we proved that the old man couldn't have heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you," but supposing he really did hear it. This phrase, how many times have each of you used it? Probably hundreds. "If you do that once more, Junior, I'm going to murder you. Come on, Rocky, kill him." We say it every day. That doesn't mean we're actually going to kill someone.
Wait a minute. The phrase was, "I'm going to kill you," and the kid screamed it out at the top of his lungs. Don't try and tell me he didn't mean it. Anybody who says a thing like that, they mean it.
Yeah, and how they mean it.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you really think that the boy would shout out a thing like that so the whole neighborhood would hear it? I don't think so. He's much too bright for that.
Right. He's a common ignorant slob. He don't even speak good English.
He doesn't even speak good English.
Oh, you shut up.
I want to change my vote to not guilty.
Jesus Christ.
Are you sure, juror number 5?
Yes, I am sure.
Very well. The vote is 9-3 in favor of guilty.
Well, if that isn't the end, what are you basing it on, number 5? Stories Cat Lady made up? She ought to write for National Enquirer. She'd make a fortune. Listen, the kid had a lawyer, didn't he? Why didn't this lawyer bring up all these points?
Lawyers can't think of everything.
Oh, brother, listen, lady, you sit in here and pull stories out of thin air. Now we're supposed to believe that the old man didn't get up out of the bed, run to the door, and see the kid beat it downstairs 15 seconds after the killing. He's only saying he did to be important.
Did the old man say he ran to the door?
Ran, walked, what's the difference? He got there.
I don't remember what he said, but I don't see how he could run.
He said he went from his bedroom to the front door. That's enough, isn't it?
Now, where was his bedroom again?
Down the hall somewhere. I thought you remembered everything. Don't you remember?
No, I don't. No. Mr. Foreman, I'd like to take a look at the diagram of the apartment, please.
Why don't we have to run the trial over again just so we can get everything straight?
Mr. Foreman.
I heard you, lady. Guard, we'd like to see the exhibit of the apartment layout, please.
All right, what's this for? How come you're the only one in the room who wants to see the exhibits all the time?
I want to see this one too.
And I want to stop wasting time.
If we're going to start wading through all that nonsense about where the body was found again.
No, we're not. We're going to find out how a man who's had 2 strokes in the past 3 years and who walks with a pair of canes could get to his front door in 15 seconds.
You said 20 seconds.
He said 15.
How does he know how long 15 seconds is? You can't judge that kind of thing.
He said 15. He was very positive about it.
He's an old man. You saw him. Half the time he was confused. How could he be positive about anything?
You wanted to see this?
That's right. Thank you.
Number 10, do me a favor, wake me up when this is over.
I hear you, brother.
All right. So this is the apartment where the killing took place. The old man's apartment is directly beneath it and exactly the same. So there's the L tracks, the bedroom, the living room, bathroom, kitchen, and this is the hall. Here's the front door to the apartment. These are the steps. Now, the old man was in the bed in this room over here. He says he got up, went into the hall, down the hall to the front door, opened it, and looked out just in time to see the boy racing down the stairs. Am I right?
That's the story.
Okay, 15 seconds after he heard the body fall.
Correct.
So his bed was at the window down here. It's about 12 feet from his bed to the bedroom door. The length of the hall is 43 feet, 6 inches. He had to get up out of the bed, get his canes, walk 12 feet, open the bedroom door, walk 43 feet, open the front door, all in 15 seconds. Do we think this is possible?
You know it's possible.
He can only walk very slowly. They had to help him into the witness chair.
Make it sound like a long walk. It's not.
For an old man who uses canes, it's a long walk.
Says you.
I want to try this thing. Let's see how long it took him. I'm going to pace off 12 feet here, the length of the bedroom.
You're crazy. You can't recreate a thing like that.
Perhaps if you could see it, this is an important point.
It's a ridiculous waste of time.
Let him do it.
Okay, so this is the bedroom door. Now, how far would you say it is from here to the end of this room?
I'd say it was 20 feet.
Just about.
All right, 20 feet is close enough. So from here to the door and back again is 40 feet. It's shorter than the length of the hall, but pretty close. Wouldn't you say that?
A few feet, maybe.
Look, this is absolutely insane. What makes you think you can recreate a thing like that?
Do you mind if I try it? Okay, according to you, it'll only take 15 seconds. We can spare that. Now, who's got to watch with a second hand?
I have.
All right, when you want me to start, stamp your foot. That'll be the body falling. Time me from there. Let's see, say he keeps his canes right by the bedside, okay?
Right.
All right, I'm ready.
Hang on. Go.
Okay, I'm picking up the canes. I'm walking to the bedroom door. I'm opening the door. I'm going down the hall. Okay, if you think I should go faster, I will. I'm walking down the hall. I'm almost to the end of the hall and opening the front door, looking out, stop.
Right.
Now, what's the time?
31.
15, 20, 30, 31 seconds exactly.
Now, it's my guess that the old man was trying to get to the door, heard someone racing down the stairs, and assumed it was the boy.
I think that's possible.
Assumed. Now listen to me, you people. I've seen all kinds of dishonesty in my day, but this little display takes the cake. Someone tell her that, will you? You, cat lady, you come in here with your heart bleeding all over the floor about slum kids and injustice, and you make up these wild stories, and you've got some soft-hearted old ladies listening to you. Well, I'm not. I'm getting really sick of it. What's the matter with you people? This kid is guilty. He's got to burn. We're letting him slip through our fingers here.
Our fingers? Are you his executioner?
I'm one of them.
Perhaps you'd like to pull the switch.
For this kid, you bet. I'd pull the switch.
I'm sorry for you.
Don't start with me.
What it must feel like to want to pull the switch.
Shut up!
You're a sadist.
Shut up!
You want to see this boy die because you personally want to, not because of the facts.
Shut up! I'll kill her! I'll kill her!
You don't really mean you'll kill me, do you?
God.
Is there anything wrong, jurors? I heard some noise.
No, there's nothing wrong. You can take the diagram back now. We're finished with it.
Okay.
Well, what are you staring at? Sit down, all of you.
I don't see why we have to behave like children here.
Nor do I. We have a responsibility. This is a remarkable thing about democracy, that we are, what's the word? Notified. That we are notified by mail to come down to this place and decide on the guilt or innocence of a man we have not known before. We have nothing to gain or lose by our verdict. This is one of the reasons why we are strong. We should not make it a personal thing.
Well, we're still nowhere. Who's got an idea?
I think maybe we should try another vote. Mr. Foreman?
It's all right with me. Anybody doesn't want to vote?
All right, let's do it.
I want an open ballot. Let's call out our votes. I want to know who stands where.
That sounds fair. Anyone object? All right. I'll call off your jury numbers. I vote guilty. Number 2.
Not guilty.
Number 3.
Guilty.
Number 4.
Guilty.
Number 5.
Not guilty.
Number 6.
Not guilty.
Number 7.
Guilty.
Number 8.
Not guilty.
Number 9.
Not guilty.
Number 10.
Guilty.
Number 11.
Not guilty.
Number 12.
Guilty.
6-6.
Ha! I'll tell you something. The crime is being committed right in this room.
The vote is 6-6.
I'm ready to walk into court right now and declare a hung jury. There's no point in this going on anymore.
I go for that too. Let's take it into the judge and let the kid take his chances with 12 other people.
You mean you still don't think there's room for reasonable doubt?
No, I don't.
I beg your pardon. Maybe you don't understand the term reasonable doubt.
What do you mean I don't understand it? Who do you think you're talking to me like that? How do you like this little girl? She comes over here running for her life, and before she can even take a deep breath, she's telling us how to run the show. The arrogance.
Wait a second. Nobody around here is asking you where you came from
I was born right here.
or where your father came from. Maybe it wouldn't hurt us to take a few tips from the people who migrate here. Maybe they learned something we don't know. Maybe we're not so perfect.
Please, I'm used to this. It's all right. Thank you.
It's not all right.
Okay, I apologize. Is that what you want?
Yes, that's what I want.
All right. Let's stop the arguing. We've got something. Who's got something constructive to say?
Well, something's been bothering me a little. This whole business about the stab wound and how it was made, the downward angle of it, you know?
Don't tell me we're going to start that. They went over it and over in court.
I know they did, but I don't go along with it. The boy is 5 feet 8 inches tall. His father is 6'2". That's a difference of 6 inches. It is a very awkward thing to stab down into the chest of someone who's half a foot taller than you are.
Look, you're not going to be satisfied till you see it again. I'm going to give you a demonstration. Someone get up. Anybody? You, cat lady. Good. Okay, well, let's watch this. I don't want to have to do it again. Is that 6 inches?
That's more than 6 inches.
Okay, let it be more.
Look out!
That's not funny.
What's the matter with you?
Just calm down. No one's hurt, are they?
No one's hurt.
All right, there's your angle. Take a look at it. Down and in. That's how I'd stab a taller man in the chest, and that's how it was done. Take a look and tell me I'm wrong.
Down and in. I guess there's no argument.
And number 6, did you ever stab a man?
Of course not.
Number 3, did you?
All right, let's not be silly.
Did you?
No, I didn't.
So where do you get all your information about how it's done?
What do you mean? It's just common sense.
Have you ever seen a man stabbed?
No.
All right, I want to ask you something. The boy was an experienced knife fighter. He was even sent to reform school for knifing someone. Isn't that right?
That's right.
So look at this. Doesn't it seem like an awkward way to handle a knife?
What are you asking me for?
Well, that should be clear to all of us.
Wait a minute, what's the matter with me? Give me that.
Have you ever seen a knife fight?
Yes, I have, in the movies.
Yard, maybe?
On my front stoop, the vacant lot across the street, too many of them. Switchblades came with the neighborhood. Funny, I didn't think of it before. I guess you try to forget those things. Anyone who's ever used a switchblade would never stab downward. You'd use it underhanded.
Then he couldn't have made that kind of wound which killed his father.
No, he couldn't have, not if he had any experience with a switchblade.
I don't believe it.
Neither do I. You're giving us a lot of mumbo jumbo.
Number 12, what do you think?
Well, I don't know.
Number 7, what about you?
Listen, I'll tell you something. I'm a little sick of this whole thing already. We're getting nowhere fast. Let's break it up and go home. I'm changing my vote to not guilty.
You're what?
You heard me. I've had enough.
What do you mean you've had enough? That's no answer.
I think perhaps you're right. This is not the answer. What kind of man are you, Mr. 7? You have sat here and voted guilty with everyone else because there are some theater tickets burning a hole in your pocket. Now you have changed your vote for the same reason. I do not think you have the right to play like this with a man's life. This is an ugly and terrible thing to do.
Now, wait a minute. You can't talk to me like that.
I can talk to you like that. If you want to vote not guilty, then do it because you are convinced the man is not guilty. If you believe he's guilty, then vote that way. Or don't you have the guts to do what you think is right?
Now, listen.
Is that guilty or not guilty?
I told you, not guilty.
Why?
I don't have to justify myself to you.
You have to say it. Why?
I don't think he's guilty.
I want another vote.
Okay, there's another vote called for. I guess the quickest way is a show of hands. Anybody object? All right. All those voting not guilty, raise your hands. 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 11. And me. That's 9. All those voting guilty. 3, 4, and 10. That's 3. The vote is 9-3 in favor of acquittal.
I don't understand you people. How can you believe this kid is innocent? Look, you know how those people are. You know how they lie. I don't have to tell you. They don't know what the truth is. And let me tell you, they don't need any big reason to kill someone either. You know, they get drunk, and bang, someone's lying in the gutter. Nobody's blaming them. That's how they are. You know what I mean? Violent. Human life don't mean as much to them as it does to us. Hey, where are you going? Look, these people are drinking and fighting all the time. And if somebody gets killed, so somebody gets killed. They don't care. Oh, sure, there are some good things about them too. Look, I'm the first to say that. I've known a few who were pretty decent, but that's the exception. Most of them, it's like they have no feelings. They can do anything. What's going on here? I'm speaking my piece and you listen to me. They're no good. There's not a one of them who's any good. We better watch out. Take it from me. This kid on trial? Well, don't you know about them? Listen to me. What are you doing? I'm trying to tell you something.
I've had enough. If you open your mouth again, I'm going to slap you silly.
I'm only trying to tell you.
All right, Sit down, everybody. I still believe the boy is guilty of murder, and I'll tell you why. To me, the most damning evidence given by the woman across the street who claimed she actually saw the murder committed.
That's right. As far as I'm concerned, that's the most important testimony.
I believe I can recount it accurately. She said that she went to bed at about 11 o'clock that night. Her bed was next to the open window, and she could look out of the window while lying down and see directly into the window across the street. She tossed and turned for about an hour, unable to fall asleep, but finally she turned toward the window at about 12:10, and as she looked out, she saw the boy stab his father. As far as I can see, this is unshakable testimony.
That's what I mean. That's the whole case right there.
Frankly, I don't see how all of you can vote for acquittal. Number 12, what do you think about it?
Well, maybe. There's so much evidence to sift.
What do you mean, maybe? She's absolutely right. You can throw out all the other evidence.
That was my feeling.
What time is it? Anybody see that clock?
10 minutes of 6.
It's late. You don't suppose they let us go home and finish it in the morning? I got a kid with mumps.
Not a chance.
Pardon me, ma'am. Can't you see the clock without your glasses?
Not clearly. Why?
Oh, I don't know. Look, this may be a dumb thought, but what do you do when you wake up at night and want to know what time it is?
What do you mean? I put on my glasses and I look at the clock.
You don't wear them to bed.
Of course not. No one wears eyeglasses to bed.
What's all this for?
Well, I was thinking, you know, the woman who testified that she saw the killing wears glasses.
So does my grandmother. So what?
Your grandmother isn't a murder witness.
Look, stop me if I'm wrong. This woman wouldn't wear her glasses to bed, would she?
Wait a minute. Did she wear glasses at all? I don't remember.
Of course she did. The woman wore bifocals. I remember this very clearly. They look quite strong.
That's right. Bifocals. She never took them off.
She did wear glasses. Funny. I never thought of that.
So she wasn't wearing them in bed, that's for sure. She testified that in the midst of her tossing and turning, she rolled over and looked casually out the window. The murder was taking place as she looked out, and the lights went out a split second later. She couldn't have had time to put on her glasses. Now, maybe she honestly thought that she saw the boy kill his father. I say she only saw a blur.
How do you know what she saw? Maybe she's farsighted. She said she saw it.
Does anyone still think there's not a reasonable doubt? Number 10?
No, I don't. You got a point about the glasses.
I think he's guilty.
Does anyone else?
No, I'm convinced.
Number 3, you're alone.
I don't care whether I'm alone or not. I have a right.
You have a right.
Well, I told you the kid's guilty. What else do you want?
Your arguments.
I gave you my arguments.
We're not convinced. We're waiting to hear them again. We have time.
Listen, number 4, what's the matter with you? You're the one with common sense. You made all the arguments. You can't turn now. A guilty man could be walking the streets, a murderer. He's got to die. Stay with me.
I'm sorry. There's reasonable doubt in my mind.
We're waiting, number 3.
Well, you're not going to intimidate me. I'm entitled to my opinion. It's going to be a hung jury. That's it. I have a right.
There's nothing we can do about that except that hope some night, maybe in a few months, you'll get some sleep.
You're all alone.
It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone.
I have a right. I have a right. God damn it. All of you, you win.
Guard, we're ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you have a verdict?
Yes,
Yes, we do, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, murder in the first degree, premeditated homicide is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. You've heard a long and complex case, ladies and gentlemen, and it is now your duty to sit down and try to separate the facts from the fancy. One man is dead. The life of another is at stake. If there's a reasonable doubt in your minds as to the guilt of the accused, then you must declare him not guilty. If, however, there's no reasonable doubt, then he must be found guilty. Whichever way you decide, the verdict must be unanimous. I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. You are faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.